He comes up 20 yards. I get drawn back, make the shot, shoot right over top of his back. But this is why bow hunting is so exciting and great. I had a buck that he was definitely not, he's probably one of the smallest bucks I've shot. He came out, there was a group of about 5 or 6 does and young and half-year-old deer that were out feeding in the field, and then he popped over the fence and he came out, little 8-point buck. He came out and was feeding along with them, and this was, I think this was probably at the end of September or somewhere there in October, and he came down by the stand. He was 20 yards away probably, and I passed on him and let him walk that evening. Then I believe November 2nd rolled around, and this was in 2012, and it was the week before rifle season started. The rut was starting to kind of get going. The pre-rut was definitely on. I hadn't seen a deer the entire evening, and I grunted back into the timber, just blind grunted, just to see what would happen. Because that's the nice thing about this stand too, is that you can't see everything that's out here. So if you have a pretty good idea of when the deer move and thinking maybe they're out there or they're back in the timber where you can't see them, you can do some blind calling and sometimes have some luck on getting deer to come to you. But I blind grunted back into the timber, and whenever I did, I saw a deer move back there. So I grunted a couple more times, and then the next thing I know, after grunting, you just hear ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch, and this buck, the one that I had passed on, comes running up to the back of my stand here and stood 10 yards just looking around, looking, trying to find whatever that grunt call was. Well, I just had to sit still because it was too quick, and it's kind of hard to shoot behind me in this stand. And next thing, he went on and ran on up north here, and I thought he was gone for sure. So I grunted a couple more times and never saw him. Then a few minutes later, he pops over the fence up north here, almost the same place that he was with that group of does back in September, October. And he started to make his way down here. And I thought, you know what, this situation was just too cool, the way that I called him in and all that. I've got to take this shot on this buck. That and it being right before rifle season. I know also I had been going through some things in life at that time that I needed something to encourage me. And so I went ahead and wanted to shoot at this deer. So he comes up 20 yards. I get drawn back, make the shot, shoot right over top of his back. But this is why bow hunting is so exciting and great. As soon as I shot and went over his back, he ran about 20 yards up north, and no sooner than he did that, he turned around and walked straight back to the exact same spot, and I was able to get another arrow knocked on the string, make the shot. I hit him a little bit far back. I think it had to be both lungs and a liver because it was a little far back. He ran back in the timber, and we were able to track and find him that night. I remember being able to track him in the dark when we probably got to be 10 to 15 yards. I could smell the deer. And I told my mom and dad that were tracking with me, I said, you know what, I think I can smell this deer. And sure enough, he was only another 10 or 15 yards away. So that was a cool story. And it could have been a failure because I made the miss, but it was always been a cool story to tell since then because he literally just walked right back to the same spot as fast as he ran away. Thank you for watching Farming for Whitetails. We'll see you next time.